Okay, guys. So we did some gestures. We did some gestures where the poses, were already nice and intricate, quite dynamic, but um, not too convoluted or compact. So we could see much of the torso pretty clearly. Not very foreshortened, and most of the limbs in some position fairly stretched. What if we have a much more convoluted or compact uh, pose? Can we still then find that simplified gesture? Well, things might change a bit, but yes, we can of course still try to look for that. So I found some reference again, and I'll post it again, obviously. Let's work on this side. Let's see where I am in the camera frame. Maybe I can, yeah. Okay, yeah. So she's lying down. She's very foreshortened, and I cannot really draw any sort of square to capture the torso. Um, in these cases, it's very dependent on, well, your own preference and the particular pose on how you start. But I usually tend to try to start with the largest parts that are in the foreground. So in this case, her head, and I can just sketch a simple shape that shows the head. And what I quickly see from there is at least some line going from shoulder to shoulder. And out of that line, I can build the direction of the spine and just make sure that I keep the hips close by. So I'm imagining this kind of sausage shape here as a torso. Uh, Out from that come the legs, and I see one hand with which is resting near the neck, and the other hand is coming onto or underneath the head. One thing I try to keep in mind is the relative diminishment in size. So if things get further away, they are going to appear to be smaller. And this would already be um, a gestural idea. It's more abstract than the earlier ones, but the information is there for me. I can now start building out from here and once again showing a much more secondary idea for the arm and the other arm as well. I'm not afraid to draw into something that overlaps. It's going to be fine. I am trying to capture uh, a little bit of the shape of the hand. Also, trying to take into account how large I think it should be. And now we see the rest of the neck and shoulder mass resting on the floor. Notice that the spine is still important, and so is the hair. we get this nice overlap of the shoulder into the lat, and we see this wrinkle for how the skin is folding in on itself. And we can indeed get a sense of where the leg should end. I am banking on making it rather a bit too short than too long. We know why. That's going to help at least accentuate that strong difference in depth. And the second leg barely visible underneath it. I can try to show some, well, distinctive shape like the shell of the ear. Maybe well, is it here? It's going to be a little bit more toward the inside. The bandana wrapped around the head, which is disappearing here into the hair. And yes, we see the tuft of hair again that is on the front of the bandana coming out like that. Now, hair is a study in and of itself, but also there you can look for the kind of gestural idea for how the hair is behaving. Let's kind of lock down some of the lines just so we have a little bit more grip visually on what's happening. I'll group together the three fingers on this side. Well, maybe the pinky is a bit loose again. And we'll talk about hands more in depth. So here she's lying on the floor. We see the scapula jutting out. And that's affecting the contour. There we are. Fine. Let's do another convoluted pose. I found a nice one here as well. Not that much of the torso showing. A little bit more, but still not much. So, back to my red, I suppose. With this one, I definitely want to start with the head, I think, and already maybe show for the head where the ear is and the top of the head basically flowing into the neck to then come in with that line from shoulder to shoulder and finding the much foreshortened torso. And basically that provides me some anchor point for the buttocks and the leg. other leg, foot a little bit further back. And now I have some idea of where his wrist is going to end up, and simple gestural line for the arm. The other arm, pretty perfectly straight inside, and I'll just keep it straight for this initial simple gesture. Looking for the other leg, which is, well, I would say pretty straightforward, right? If time is up at this point, then perfectly fine. Time is up. We have captured something essential that we can build upon. If time is not up, however, let's just start refining, right? What do I now think is important to capture about this? Well, maybe the way this torso is folded in on itself, pretty much like this. So I want to show these lines wrapping and eventually show how the arm is overlapping. Uh, Perhaps I want to at some point indicate the muscles on the arm, but for now I want to reduce it a bit more, just so I have something to latch onto. Let's look for the gesture of this thumb and also the gesture in the hand. I look for the line, basically a line of connection or line of flow for the knuckles. I extend the finger. I can look for a line of flow for the fingers as well. And then each individual finger is behaving in a very gestural manner. Well, onto the head, which I might want to enlarge just a bit. And here as well show the lines wrapping over the neck in the back. And maybe we can see a little bit of a nose jutting out. A very critical secondary gesture for the arm here, with the muscles jutting out. On this side it's pretty straight, grabbing onto the ankle, resting on the ankle. Let's find some simple indication of what we think the hand is doing. Some simple indication of what we think the foot is doing. And we can basically build the knee, crotch, and everything into that. Now there is a lot of intricacy with all these anatomical things happening here. It's pretty convoluted, but the overall idea of how the head is positioned, diving forward in space, how there's a twist. That should be considered first. Now, any sort of anatomical refinement is a bonus to that. And I might leave it at this. Maybe there's not enough time to finish the whole sketch. That's perfectly fine, right? I have trained this approach, this way of seeing, and this way of reducing complexity. And for these kinds of poses with many interconnecting parts of the body, at least to me, the level of complexity is fairly high. So it might take me longer than a straightforward pose, but that's okay. I think in total I took about 15 minutes now to do some sketching, so that's kind of averages to 7 minutes per pose. Fine. You know what? Maybe I'll do some more as kind of a relaxation. Let me pause the video or the recording quick. Okay, here I have a nice one with a very strong twist in the torso. I'll just sketch directly in black right now. So I'm gonna look for, well, a variation on the theme and just do what helps me. Maybe also try to exaggerate the pose. He's leaning back, ever so slightly. Maybe it's going to be more with me. And then I'll find the buttocks here. And so we'll get this kind of twist where we barely see, or we see the middle line here, but we barely see it in the back here. And we actually start seeing the front of his chest. This is going to be the shoulder muscle, and there's going to be very strong foreshortening in the arm. And so I'm drawing now the hand as it would appear, and then focusing on this idea of the cross section to show how strongly the hand is coming forward. Perhaps get some of the fingers in, not too much though, because let's not forget about things like the head, where it's placed, and how it's oriented. Something like this. We see hardly anything of the other arm. We do see a little bit of the pectoral here, and the waistband of the underwear gives us a good idea of the orientation of his leg. And now we're gonna follow the leg downward. Very simple gestural idea for this leg, and the other one is also relatively straightforward, a little bit more to the side. Maybe something like that. So I can easily kind of assess where I think his foot should end up. And let's bulge out this upper leg, quite muscular. Show a little bit of the knee. And as a secondary gestural idea, the calf. We What's the other foot doing? It's coming a little bit lower. Let's make it a bit more than we see in the reference, just for exaggeration's sake. This knee is coming lower, and well, here we see this kind of idea for the calf. And boom, now don't be too afraid to still change things. I think the whole mass of the buttocks here is a little bit on the modest side. He has quite some junk in the trunk, so we can add that. It's perfectly fine. And we can add some mass to the back as well. And basically work into what we already have without being too afraid to change it. I think the size of the hand is working, so I'll stick to it, and maybe as a final touch, show the staff he's holding, aiming it from, well, a little bit more up with the fingers wrapped around it to touch or be tangent to the trapezius neck muscle here. And of course, I make it run through. That's, well, that goes without saying. Now, we're getting to a place of showing more anatomy, and it's probably already a good time to end this one. Still some shape, some idea of the cross contouring, and well, we're pretty much there. So you see that I can really fatten up this line and overpower earlier lines. And that's just the nature of sketching. Maybe show a little bit more the kind of foreshortening perspective in this staff. So we can definitely show quite a dramatic receding in space. We see just a pinky here. And well, we'll stick to this. Don't have to do much more. Maybe take a sip of tea. Okay, maybe try one more where we will try to uh, exaggerate the whole gesture and movement quite a bit. So maybe I can find a relatively modest gesture. I'll pause the recording a bit and come back when I have found one. Okay, I found one, which is going to be, relatively difficult to exaggerate. What is it that I can exaggerate? Well, anything can be exaggerated. Here I see, of course, a lean to the left, which can be exaggerated the way the left arm, the one to our right, is coming forward, might be exaggerated. I might tilt it or I lift it up more and push it forward in space. There's a slight width in the stance. Maybe that's something to push even further. Maybe also the difference in depth between the 2 feet. We'll see. Of course, the whole body form, big belly, heavy guy, can also be exaggerated. So there's plenty to try, and that's of course the fun part. Let's look for some, to me, clearly visible angle, the shoulder, and push it. So I'm dipping one shoulder down way more than the other, and I'm going to look for the line of action from rib cage to pelvis and find maybe the line for the pelvis, and maybe already find the outside of the torso and look for maybe an exaggeration of the shape and the proportions as well. Anything and everything can be exaggerated into the crotch, finding the groin, and looking for a much wider stance. And I'm really trying to push myself to push this gesture to a point where it breaks. See if I can make it so ridiculously exaggerated that I cannot get away with it. And doing that, you'll probably see or experience, I hope at least, that you have quite some wiggle room. I like to find this line of action as one extended curve running past the side of his belly down to the leg. I need to incorporate the huge mass for the shoulders as well, and the trapezius muscles that we have there, and maybe look for even more mass around the girdle here. Where's the knee? What is the leg doing? How is it coming forward? pretty epically. What is the other leg doing? How is it going backward epically? More distance between the two feet, both in width as well as in depth. Let's look for this arm, which I'm gonna make flow outward. Show again the cross section. Maybe now this other arm. Right, the elbow was coming down. Maybe it's lifted up more with the other arm coming up more like that. Let's see if I'm still. Yeah, I'm still here in the image. Now this is in the video a 1 minute pose. I don't care about that. I care about finding some exaggeration and overstatement. Not that it's a boring pose otherwise, but just because that is what I'm practicing right now. Let's see, we don't see the thumb. We do see a little bit of the palm of the hand, and we would see a massive forearm. Stuck onto a massive upper arm as well. More mass on the chest. More of everything. Of course, I'm having to let go here and there of what I can derive from the reference, but that's perfectly fine. Secondary gestural idea. A little bit of knowledge on the anatomy helps, but it's really a bonus. We see how the belly is folded over the thigh here. Massive upper legs, lower legs smaller. I feel I still need to work on the hand a bit. It feels too incomplete. So what can I do? I can look for a shape. I can look for the rhythm down the knuckles, the shape and the mass for the thumb. Trying to keep in mind how large I would like it to end up on the page. Maybe exaggerate the spread in the fingers as well. So 1 finger, 2, 3, 4. And, well, the pinky is smallest. We'll see how this turns out. There's already a little bit more work in it, so maybe onto the other hand, blow it up in size just a little bit. Maybe I should make it a clenched fist, but he is holding some staff in the reference. There we go. Uh, Notice anything missing? Well, I do. The head. I kept the head absent because I just wasn't sure. Maybe it's something that I can make tinier just to make the colossal body uh, extra impressive. Um, Maybe I can get away with that. One thing I can do is at least try, right? Notice the initial ellipse or egg shape and the tweaking of that, finding a line for the eyes onto the ears, and maybe adding some mass for the beard. Well, he definitely starts to look quite the formidable foe. Yeah, I would definitely like to change his fist into a clenched fist, but we'll leave it for now. We do see. Well, let's work a little bit more on the brow and nose, tiny nose, formidable beard, cheekbones, brow ridge. Looking for a simple statement of mass of the beard. Okay, that's enough for the face, I would say. Let's add some mass for the trapezius coming up. And now I'm really starting to hone in on some of these lines and masses. Still having fun with the ridiculous proportions. I'm seeing this mass and the whole chest as a quite a strong line. I can show a little bit of the insert of the pecs and show a little bit more creasing here in all the layers of fat. Push it up to reveal the leg coming out underneath. I am at this point hardly looking at the reference anymore. I am just interpreting my own sketch and deciding what lines to fortify. The line for his trunks should be changed because of this ridiculous foreshortening that I have. This line is definitely going to show more curvature, and for the lower leg, the curvature is going to be stronger. The other way, and this helps to, of course, express the position in this third dimension. And I would say we have to do whatever we can to express this third dimension or suggest it, because it's the one thing we don't actually have on our page. Well, I think I'm gonna leave it at this. I do want to maybe show a little idea of the staff that he's holding, even though I've already quite aggressively put in the lines for his body. We can show this staff as a very epic thing going forward. Could also be some sort of club or sword. Doesn't really matter. He's holding it and he's happy with it. He doesn't want you to take it. That's all you need to know. So, pushing the reference, pushing the gesture and the pose. Now, this is, I would say, a fairly extreme push where more than one aspect of the figure has been pushed. The overall line of action, this gesture has been pushed, but also the shape design, the largeness of the body, more round, more humongous, expressed more by a tiny head. That is something that has been pushed. This stance and the kind of difference in depth in this third dimension, that has been pushed. So all kinds of things have been pushed at once. Of course, you can start by pushing just one thing. That's perfectly fine. You don't have to stack all these complications onto one another in one go. It's actually, in that sense, a pretty bad demo, uh, because you might get the idea that this is the only way to extremify a gesture, doing all these things at once, which is definitely not true. Throwing in a little bit of a suggestion of the fingers, but not too much. No, the truth is, you can start with just a gesture as is, and once you feel comfortable enough, come into a complication or an exaggeration of only one aspect, not 3, 4 aspects all at once. So don't be like me. Be a little bit more sensible in your practice. I sometimes get inspired a bit by a pose and see all kinds of opportunity for an epic pose or sketch. But the reality is that I would have been way better off um, tackling this pose in multiple goes, investigating it and keeping the problem a little bit simpler. But of course, sketching is sketching and it should be fun. And when you get inspired, that can be fun. And you might want to try it. I think I'll end the video here. It's been long enough already. Let's see, what do we have in our screen? Well, 2 fun gestures, I would say. Thanks for watching. Good luck on yours, and see you next time. Bye bye.